Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we are going to be finding out what happens if you find all of the dinosaur bones before talking to Deborah Macguinness, the stranger who actually helps you find them. And this is a part of the quest line, A Test of Faith. So I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with various cutscenes and stuff like that pretty recently. We did this experiment about a month ago, like what happened if you found all of the rock carvings before talking to the time traveler, and we actually got a secret cutscene, or at least a cutscene with different lines of dialogue. So I wanted to find out if the same thing would happen today. What happens if we talk to the paleontologist, Deborah Macguinness, and we collected all of the dinosaur bones beforehand? Wouldn't that be pretty unique? And to see if she would say something interesting. So before we can dive into that, let's get a baseline first. This is what happens if you approach Deborah Macguinness for the first time normally without collecting any of the dinosaur bones.
Did the university send you? Because if they did, they can get lost. I have never been so insulted in all my life. Really, laughed at, balderdash. Are you quite certain you're not a spy? Those wretches will do anything to destroy me. My theories are correct, and I can prove it.
What are you doing?
I am the leading amateur paleontologist in the nation, and not one university will hire me because, unlike them, I actually have ideas.
You're a what?
I study dinosaurs. You know, big lizards.
Are they real?
Of course they're real, you nincompoop. And everywhere.
Everywhere?
This state was once a vast, shallow sea that had the most incredible animal that could walk, swim, and fly. Quite unique. I call it Totalisaurus. Just for now. I'm trying to gather all the evidence. Miss Deborah Macguinness.
Arthur.
Good to meet you. Could you give me a hand here, please?
Of course.
Yeah. Listen, if you find any of these bones around the country, send them to my homestead at Furwood Rise in Cumberland Forest. Or mail me the locations. I'll reward you handsomely for your efforts.
Sure. Why not?
And we'll be proving a lot of stuck-up buffoons very, very wrong. Which, trust me, is the very best thing about science. Good day to you, sir.
Good luck. I'll keep my eye out for you.
Okay, so that's the standard conversation that she will have with everyone if you approach her without ever finding a single dinosaur bone in Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, now let's find out what happens if you discover one dinosaur bone. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, Mr. Boss, what happens if you were to find all of them? Well, just like with the rock carvings, the game prevents you from finding all of them before talking to the associated character. Now, there is something pretty big that would make this difficult regardless, and that is the fact that some of the dinosaur bones are located in New Austin, which means that technically Rockstar wouldn't allow you to collect all of them as Arthur. You would have to collect them as John Marston. Now, if you are curious as to what happens if Arthur is able to collect all of the dinosaur bones through glitches and whatnot, I'll actually leave a link to a video I did about a couple of months ago in the description that actually shows you what happens if you do collect the dinosaur bones and visit Deborah Macguinness as Arthur. You do get a unique cutscene, and it is a little bit awkward. So I highly recommend you check that out for yourself. However, as I mentioned earlier, the game would prevent you from collecting all of the dinosaur bones that you needed to interact with the final part of this mission before speaking to Deborah Macguinness. However, let's test what happens if you collect 1 or 3 or 4 or 24 of them and then decide to talk to Deborah Macguinness. Will you get a unique or different line of dialogue? Let's figure it out.
Did the university send you? Because if they did, they can get lost. I have never been so insulted in all my life. Really, laughed at. Balderdash. Are you quite certain you're not a spy? Those wretches will do anything to destroy me. My theories are correct, and I can prove it.
What are you doing?
I am the leading amateur paleontologist in the nation, and not one university will hire me because, unlike them, I actually have ideas.
You're a what?
I study dinosaurs. You know, big lizards.
Are they real?
Of course they're real, you nincompoop. And everywhere.
Everywhere?
This state was once a vast, shallow sea that had the most incredible animal that could walk, swim, and fly. Quite unique. I call it Totalisaurus. Just for now. I'm trying to gather all the evidence. This Deborah Macguinness.
Arthur.
Good to meet you. Could you give me a hand here, please?
Of course.
Yeah. Listen. If you find any of these bones around the country, send them to my homestead at Furwood Rise in Cumberland Forest. Or mail me the locations. I'll reward you handsomely for your efforts.
Actually, I think I found some. Here.
Excellent. I will go and investigate. And we'll be proving a lot of stuck-up buffoons very, very wrong. Which, trust me, is the very best thing about science. Good day to you, sir.
All right, how cool was that? We did get a different line of dialogue, just like when we visited Francis Sinclair, the time traveler. Right at the very end of the cutscene, Arthur says, well, wait a minute. I found one of these already. And it is sort of cool that they programmed a different and unique cutscene to ultimately happen. So that's pretty unique. Now, sort of a side experiment that I wanted to try in this video, I wanted to see what would happen if you followed Deborah Macguinness. This is something I had never tried before, and I just randomly sort of thought to do it as we were going along. So once you sort of say your goodbyes to Deborah Macguinness, you know, she loads up that dinosaur bone onto the back of her little wagon and she rides away. Now, when she started riding away for the first time, I thought for sure she was going to head to her house, her homestead at like Furwood Rise in Cumberland Forest. And for a bit, it looked as if she was heading in the right direction. So I basically just followed her all the way through Valentine, but then mysteriously something happened. She got off of her wagon and then just sort of started walking into the woods. Now, when this happened, I tried to actually get on her wagon to see if I could either steal it or take it or bring her to it, but I wasn't able to actually get on the wagon. Like, the game just simply won't let you at all. And then as far as what Deborah Macguinness does, she basically just walks into the woods, and that's it. You can't really interact with her at all. So here's what I'm assuming happened here. Rockstar programmed her to go a certain distance that looked like she was heading towards her homestead, and then that sort of programming just ran out. And she's just sort of got off and just wandered off in her own direction. I'm pretty sure Rockstar expected most people to not follow her in this instance, but I did, and I just wanted to see what would happen. So if you were curious, that's ultimately what occurs. I did find that to be kind of unique and certainly pretty funny. Now, last but not least today, since we've been doing experiments like this, I wanted to see what would happen if John Marston met Deborah Macguinness for the first time instead of Arthur Morgan. Usually when things like this occur, the cutscenes are a little bit different or the lines of dialogues vary a bit. So I wanted to check this out. So now, let's see what happens if John Marston visits the paleontologist instead of Arthur Morgan.
Did the university send you? Because if they did, they can get lost. I have never been so insulted in all my life. Really, laughed at. Balderdash. Are you quite certain you're not a spy? Those wretches will do anything to destroy me. My theories are correct, and I can prove it.
What are you doing?
I am the leading amateur paleontologist in the nation, and not one university will hire me because, unlike them, I actually have ideas.
You're a what?
I study dinosaurs. You know, big lizards.
Are they real?
Of course they're real, you nincompoop. And everywhere.
Everywhere?
This state was once a vast, shallow sea that had the most incredible animal that could walk, swim, and fly. Quite unique. I call it Totalisaurus. Just for now. I'm trying to gather all the evidence. Miss Deborah Macguinness,
John.
good to meet you. Could you give me a hand here, please?
Of course.
Yeah. Listen, if you find any of these bones around the country, send them to my homestead at Forward Rise in Cumberland Forest. Or mail me the locations. I'll reward you handsomely for your efforts.
Sure. Why not?
And we'll be proving a lot of stuck-up buffoons very, very wrong. Which, trust me, is the very best thing about science. Good day to you, sir.
Okay, so it didn't seem like there was a ton of differences right there, but it was still pretty cool to ultimately check out. Now again, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, if you are interested in finding out what happens if John visits her for the second time after collecting all the bones versus when Arthur collects all the bones and visits her for the final time, check out that video in the description. I do think it is pretty cool, and there's actually a lot of differences in the dialogues that actually happen together. But anyways, that is all the information that I've got for you guys in this video today. Hopefully you did enjoy. Please continue to let me know in the comments down below of various experiments you would like me to do, whether it's Arthur meeting people for the first time, John meeting people for the first time, or instances like this where you collect something before meeting the person in which they give you the mission. Again, let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.